Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, April 15th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And also for those of you that trade Bitcoin, I will do a bonus Bitcoin analysis at the end. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker number one, INDO. Very, very impressive move today. And now we have ourselves a nice bullish pattern here that has formed. So let's get this drawn into play here. So first part of the pattern is just this upper resistance trend line right there. And then bottom of the pattern down here, we have this area of support. Let me change that to green to represent the support area and then maybe make it easier to see. Let's just keep things all the same color. So we have our resistance, we have our support. We have the huge explosive move right there. Then make it a little bit more visual, especially if you're a golfer. Put the golf hole down here, and this would be a bull pennant pattern. So while nothing is guaranteed, is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price comes up here and pushes through the top side of that pattern, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible scenario and plausible outcome. So if you like stocks down below $10, you like bull pennant patterns, definitely keep an eye on this one. Next one, TPET, another big monster move today. Now, it had already been making good movements, but today made everything else look pretty much like nothing, especially when you factor in the volume. Very much so well above average volume. So more of the story, especially for the penny stock players out there, got to think this one's going to be showing up on their radars if they're not already aware of it, which will mean that many more eyeballs watching it next week. So let's map out a couple of key levels here. Kind of a case of deja vu, same general idea here. We have this area of resistance. We have this area of support. Let me move that in and make it a little bit more proportional. There we go. Change that to green for support. And just because I can't help myself, we'll make it the same color again. So we have resistance. We have support. We have the nice upwards move there. We have the golf hole down here. So another bull pennant pattern. I would say the biggest difference here is this one is just a penny stock. So if you prefer penny stocks and you like bull pennant patterns, then definitely keep an eye on TPET. Next one, NIO, and very, very rough day on this one today. Gap down, and then that opening 30 minutes, just a brutal candle as it kept going. And now it's leveling out here a little bit, so that's what makes this interesting. NIO, very popular stock. I would call it a cult stock, and I bring that up because when there's a cult stock, anybody is, or people are looking for any information at all, even if it's bad news, but it's not as of bad news. People are looking to buy these sorts of situations. And what I like about this one I find interesting is the price has at least started to now go sideways. Now, let me be very clear. I wish I could say trading was as easy as just identifying stocks that get beat down and then start to go sideways, because that means for sure they're going to go back upwards. Not quite how it works. My point here is it's a lot more plausible. Case in point, if the price was still just dropping, and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be some sort of bottom, you'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally still just dropping down. But that's not the case, or the price has at least started to go sideways. So again, does that guarantee that this is some sort of bottom? Of course not, but at least becomes a little bit more plausible. So key area of support there for no fancy reasoning other than the fact that that's just where the bleeding stopped, right down there at 408. And then in terms of areas of resistance, you have a problem area right there around $4.15. You can see the price has been rejected from it several times. So in all actuality right now, basically a sideways channel pattern. So it's just a question of, is this sideways channel a leading indicator of a bounce to come because the selling pressure is done? We'll see what happens next week. Next one, SQQQ, a very popular ETF out there. So, and right now it's getting near a very, very key level. And as I map out this level, please realize I'm not trying to impress you. This is not supposed to be some sort of great discovery or secret discovery. A lot of people have noticed this area right here at 1105 because that is a former area of resistance. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movements. And in my opinion, everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching 1105. So that brings about those potential self-fulfilling prophecies where if the price can come up here and get the break, more than plausible to think that that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure. If the price does come down some more, a couple key areas of support. Ideal level, that purple line there, 50 period moving average, meaning that would make the chart look the best and strongest if the price stays above there. But even if it doesn't, more of a must-hold level of support, I would say down there, that pink line, the 200 period moving average. But as of right now, given the price is closest to potentially breaking that area of resistance, that is, in my opinion, by far the most interesting dynamic going into early next week. Next one, AMC, and the bloodbath continues on this one. But what I'm finding very interesting here is, let's just get it drawn into play first. So there we have the support part of the pattern. Here we have the resistance. I could bring it up there if I wanted to get a little bit. There we go. So depending, a couple ways you could draw this, but however you draw it, you're going to end up with a falling wedge pattern, which is actually a bullish pattern. You would think a falling wedge is a bearish pattern, but that's actually a rising wedge. But falling wedge here is a bullish pattern, and it is on AMC, totally a cult stock. So same general idea that I talked about previously. Cult stocks, especially when they're getting beat down, people are looking for any reason at all to buy. So while that still does not guarantee anything, it does make it plausible that the price could come down here, maybe get a bounce off there. If that doesn't happen, if the price just comes up here and can push up through that level, then that break in of itself could create a nice technical breakout of the falling wedge pattern, which again could induce more people to want to buy. But anyway, look at it. Cult stocks and falling wedge patterns, I always find that an interesting situation. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to get signed up. Or if you're watching at my site itself, there's an area right there on the webpage you can use to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and all things considered, held up pretty well today, specifically more so in regards to that area of support that I talked about previously at the 170 mark. And it got down here, got somewhat close to it, but never even tested it. So from that angle of things, very good, especially when you've looked at some of these other stocks that are just completely breaking lows and going further and further lower. So yeah, this one did have a red day, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying from more of the bigger picture standpoint, good to see that the price is still staying up above this general area of the chart right there. So more of the story going into next week, 170 remains the key area of support. In the event there's any sort of attempted bounce back in the upwards direction, key battleground now is going to be actually kind of a double team effort. You have that pink line there, the 200 period moving average, purple line, the 50 period moving average, and you can see they're basically valued at the same level right now. So that'll be the near term level. And then after that, if the price can push up through there, you can start to focus on more so the top part of this sideways channel pattern, but one hurdle at a time. Let's just first see if the price, I should say, can first stay above the 170 mark. And then if it can do that, can it break up above those moving average? And then it makes more sense to put a little bit more focus on the top part of the channel. Next one here, AAPL Apple, and all things considered, especially how rough of today it was for the general markets, Apple held up very nicely and, has been battling very, over the past couple of days, nice solid uptrend here. Now, the levels that I talked about yesterday still actually do pertain in terms of areas of resistance. This will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched yesterday's video, but if you did, hopefully remember me talking about these couple areas of resistance. And yes, when 176.70 was broken right there, you can see nice surge right there. Unfortunately, the price fell back below it. And as soon as the price fell back below it, you can see that level went right back to acting as resistance both there and there. Now, as I speak, the price, like I said, and this is why I like to do these when the markets are open. Let me, in fact, zoom in a little bit more so we can see that. But as I speak, this candle here is actually approaching this area. So maybe it tries to break up through there. Let's see, market closes here in about 12 minutes. So I suppose that's possible. And if you are watching this video after it gets posted, you'll know the answer. Does the price break above that level or not? If it does break above it, then your next question just becomes, all right, all attention back up there on the 178.70 mark. If the price pulls back next week at all, key area of support right now at 173.15-ish. But all things considered, and I'll do this very kind of, maybe you disagree with that. Maybe I'm fitting a square peg through a round hole here, but I could see an argument being made there for a bull flag pattern. But very nice back half of the week here for Apple. Next one here, ticker symbol PXMD, and interesting situation just based on very basics. So yes, there's the big gap up, and then there's this nasty pullback. And at that point in time, it's always a valid question to say, Is this the start of something bigger? Is this thing going to be one of these, penny stock gap and traps where everything just collapses? But we got our answer, and no, it wasn't. The price has at least started to go sideways, which brings me back to that talking point you've already heard me say. Just because something's going sideways doesn't mean that the downwards action is done, but it becomes a whole lot more plausible that it could be. So that's the general idea here. Big move up, got the pullback. Now this pullback has started to go sideways with a key area of support right there at 80 cents. So keep an eye on that. And then main breakout point, if this thing does try to turn around, you can see right up here at the 94-cent mark, has been pretty stubborn. You had one rejection, another rejection right there. But if the price can, curl back up, get up through 94 cents, then yeah, reasonable to think that that could create another surge back in the upwards direction. So for you penny stock traders out there, here's another one. Next one, MARA, very brutal move on this one today. It's been, don't get me wrong, it's already been a brutal chart. Looking at multiple days here, but when I zoom in here, it was borderline just straight down on the day. So definitely an interesting dynamic here just because of look how steep that line is. Now it's actually slightly below or above it now. And that's what, catches my eye here. So the downwards pressure has finally stopped enough to at least allow the price to start to peek its head on the other side of that trend line. So that just brings to the question of, okay, is this the start of something bigger? More specifically, is this the start of maybe a bigger move to the upside? Now, I'm not calling for a full-blown reversal or anything like that, but from a trading standpoint, even if we just grant it's going to be a dead cat bounce, a dead cat bounce still can yield profits from a trading standpoint. So right here, maybe, just maybe, this is the start of an early kind of dead cat bounce. Like I said, it might be a full-blown reversal, but let's just operate under the assumption it's only going to be a dead cat bounce. If that's the case here, so worth at least keep an eye on from that angle of things. Whoops. And then as far as support levels are concerned, next key area of support, and I should note I did change this to the 4-hour time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks now represents 4 hours instead of 30 minutes, but this just makes things a little bit easier to see. So with the next area of support now being, oh wow, it even broke through there. So key level being moving forward down there around $15.35, and that is coming from these lows from several weeks ago. If the price breaks down through there, then that would really just further illustrate that the bears have, are gaining just that much more strength. Next one, TQQQ, and this one is now sitting, what a wild ride. If you get motion sick, this one's probably gotten you thrown up all over the place, but sideways, huge move up now today, all the way back down, and sitting right here at an area of support that that many more people are going to be watching right here at essentially the $58 mark, but technically speaking, 58.05, so whatever you want to call it. But just going through the history of things, you can see support, the fake breakdown right there, and then once again went back to acting as support multiple times, including today. So again, one of those potential self-fulfilling prophecies where you're going to have some people saying, if it goes on there, I think it's going to bounce. And I see what they're saying. Those people, they have a plausible, reasonable thought process. Other people are saying, well, if it breaks, I think that's going to open the floodgates to the downside. Those people also have a more than plausible thought process. And that's why risk management matters, because somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. But what I'm trying to convey here is that the key level that you got to think a lot of people will be watching early next week is going to be right around that $58 mark. If there is any sort of attempted bounce in the upwards direction, key area of resistance you'll want to watch very closely is that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. But yeah, all things considered, wild ride. Now all eyes watching that $58 mark. I'll get to Bitcoin here in just a second, but for you stock traders out there, again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about the tool, go get signed up for the free webinar next week. It'll be Thursday, April 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. Now let's talk some Bitcoin. First clarification, I am no longer using the 30-minute time frame. I'm using that 4-hour time frame because Bitcoin is open 24/7. It'll be open all weekend long. So I want this analysis to be relevant for as long as possible. But yes, for those of you that have watched past videos, you know that we've been tracking that trend line. And as I speak, this level has been violated. The price is broken down through there. So that is a sign that the bears are, taking back over control. Or maybe it's just a fake breakdown. You will have more information than that. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line as it served its purpose for now. So I'm just going to assume that you're watching this. Let's say that, you're watching this video sometimes Sunday afternoon. So the first question mark that you need to ask yourself is, where is the price at relative to 64,500? If you are answering the question that the price is down below 64,500, that is telling you that the price has broken down below levels that have not been seen for quite a while, and that would just be telling you that the bears are having themselves a very good weekend. How good of a weekend? Well, how far down below 64,500 is it? The further down below, the better the weekend the bears are actually having. But that's going to be the first thing you're going to want to check on. Where is the price at relative to that level, because that is certainly a key level of support that it held last time. If you're answering the question is above that level, well then, all right, well, where's the price at relative to these areas of resistance, specifically this area up here at 71,500? If somehow you're answering the question that the price is up above that level, that would imply very, very impressive weekend for the bulls, because that would mean that the price has turned itself around, worked its way all the way back up there, and is now actually broken up through that area. If you're answering the price is, up above here, but down below here, well, then overall the weekend still in the bears' favor. But if the price is closer up around here, then that would be a nice recovery. But in my opinion, at least, the main dynamic that I'm most curious about over the weekend here is the price headed down to 64,500? And if it does, what's going to happen? Will history repeat itself and get a bounce, or are the bears going to take over and push down through there? So grab your popcorn and we'll see what happens. Now, for you Bitcoin and crypto traders, what y'all teach in this class definitely can and should be used for you as a crypto and Bitcoin trader also. So as I invited the stock traders, I want you to go get signed up to Thursday, April 18th next week at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I hope to see you there. As far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, give me a smiley face emoji, but any sort of interaction helps with the algorithm, helps the channel, and motivates me to keep on devoting my time to get this stuff and content out to you. So like I said, if you enjoy, hit the like button, leave a comment below, even if it's just a watch list, and then go get signed up for that free webinar, and hopefully I'll see you next week.